Hey everybody, welcome to Badge Banter, where we feature some awesome stories about the value of the ID badge to organizations and how it helps those companies better recognize and connect people. I'm Lindsay Martin-Nez, your host, and today I'm very excited to have Aaron Williams from HID with us. Hey Aaron.
Hey, Lindsay, what's going on?
I'm glad to have you here today. I feel like I've been trying to talk you into joining me for a little while now, so I'm lucky to snag you for season 2.
Well, I'm glad to be here for sure. Thank you.
Awesome. So I feel like everybody probably knows who HID is, but I'm going to ask you to just go ahead and give us a quick overview of what it is that y'all do.
Sure. So HID is a multinational company that manufactures a variety of security identity products and services. We have 6 different business units. The biggest one is the PACS, which I'm a part of. We also have SI, which I know you guys do a lot with that, extended access, etc. We're part of a bigger company called Assa Abloy out of Sweden, and they really specialize in door openings. So they do locks, doors, anything imaginable in that world.
They do a lot of things. My sister was at some like car dealership trade show a couple months ago, and she texted me and she's like, "Did you know Assa Abloy's here?" I'm like, "I'm sure they have some division that does something very specific to that." So,
Yes. Yeah.
but yes, I don't even know all the things that you do. I'm sure they do. I'm sure you don't either.
I don't either. I'll walk into a building myself and look and see us up there and wonder what's going on, or I show off to my kids. So every time there's an HID or an ASA something, I'm always like, "Hey, that's Dad's company," and the kids are like, "Oh, you sold that?" Well, not exactly, but
You're like,
my
"Yeah,
company.
I did. I saw
Yeah,
that."
yeah. All me.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, awesome. Okay, well, thank you for that overview. So, we're going to kind of talk big picture today, and kind of talk about the industry as a whole and some trends and stuff like that. Because I'm just always curious to get people's opinions, especially people like you who've been in the industry for a long time. So, what, in your opinion, are some of the trends that are really taking place in the security industry right now that you think will have the biggest impact on customers over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of the things that we always ask ourselves and try to build our solutions around that. So a couple of things that we're focusing on now is general workforce age. So as people my age start to get older and moving out, younger people are moving in. So we're consistently trying to come up with what is going to be attractive to Gen Z and younger. How do the older generation speak to them? How do we come together? So we look at our solutions and try and build our marketing around something that's going to speak to everybody. So the workforce age is a big one. I think device ubiquity, where we're seeing now, even 10 years ago, everybody didn't have an Apple Watch or an Android watch, and almost everybody had a phone 10 years ago, but some of the older folks didn't. But now we're seeing everybody has usually at least 2 devices. Most people have a watch and a phone, minimally a phone. So in the world of mobile, and we'll talk more, I'm sure, about the difference between cards and mobile and the importance of both. But in the world of mobile, that's obviously very important. Increased attention to card security. So this is something I'm sure that's near and dear to your heart. We are seeing consistently the bad guys get smarter, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're ahead of the curve. We've got a team of, what we call white hat hackers or whatever that are out there trying to figure out what the bad guys will do next. So that means, how do we improve our encryption? How do we make our cards more secure? That's a big deal. Over the last couple of years, we've seen just a super leap in bad guy tools that we've got to be able to get ahead of. And I guess the final thing would be the work at home versus work in office contingent, where we've had post-COVID or during COVID, of course, everybody was home. And as we've come back, there's been sort of two frames of thought on what to do. So we're trying to be ahead of that and understand, okay, as more people are going back to the office, what does that mean for credentials and identities?
So, man, I didn't expect you to bring up so many workplace things. That's cool. No, those are cool trends to talk about for sure. Let's touch on the card technology thing really quick, because I always think it's interesting. I mean, it goes without saying that HID for years has constantly been coming out with new card formats and more secure technologies. And yes, of course, there's always bad guys and they're always trying to hack things and they keep getting
Yeah.
smarter 100%. So, I mean, I think that will continue till the end of time, that you'll constantly have to be evolving card technology. However, there's still a huge population of humans who, at the end of the day, make decisions on card technology all the time based on price and not necessarily security. And I mean, you probably know better than I do, but like a huge percentage of the customer base in the United States is still using like prox technology. And so, what are your thoughts on, like actual customers choosing security over price when at the end of the day, the card is just one element of their security? It's not like their whole security system that's in place necessarily. And so, it seems to me that there's still a pretty high percentage of people that are willing to take the risk, if you will, on a less secure card if it means that they'll save some money.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's actually something that over the years, I've been with HID for about 9 years, and the whole time it's been just what you said. How do we inform people of the vulnerabilities that are out there, and how do we get them to the next level of safety? And in many cases, it didn't mean a lot more expense because, a props card or all props cards can be more expensive than the more secure cards. So really, it's been that for years. This year, we've kind of looked at ourselves and looked at the customer base, and we're on an initiative now in this new year of meeting the customer where they are. So we're not, I guess, trying to cram new things down the throat, but rather saying, yes, indeed, sometimes you're right. You just are happy with the procs. The price is where you need it to be. You're really not concerned with these other security issues, and that's okay. We're going to be okay with you on that. We're not going to be like, what are you doing? So I think for me, in the effort of security, you do want people to get to something that's not so easily clonable.
Sure.
However, I think it's for us, what we're kind of going down the road now is to say, we're going to gently explain. We're certainly going to be hopefully convincing on what's good. But at the end of the day, if they say, you know what, my shop is never going to be hacked or never going to be broken in by anybody, I'm not worried about it, then we'll say, great, we feel better having told you, and now we'll help you with the solution that you want.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think if you're forthright, like if you're outright with the information, like you tell the customer, hey, here's the risks, and that's a risk they're still willing to take, then at the end of the day, like you'd rather do business with them than them do business somewhere else.
That's right. And really, we don't deal directly with the end user, so it's all through our channel, and that's something that I impress upon my team to say, make sure that you're all the little guys out there, because maybe they've been pulling wire for 30 years and they're not thinking about that. Make sure you make the time to let them know that. And if they don't care, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you can feel better to say, I kind of told you. And if your customer now comes to you and says, why did you sell me 40-year-old technology? You don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be caught off guard like that.
Sure, absolutely. So I think that this segues well because we talked about, smart versus procs, or I mean, just in general, like the advancement of different card technologies, even throughout the realms of different types of smart cards that are out there. And so I think that there's a similar, parallel. There's this divergence, if you will, where people are talking all the time about like, all right, now we got physical cards and we've got mobile credentials, and there's security elements to that, but also just a difference in technology and a difference in price point. And I think HID is walking a fine line there, just like you are with card technology, where you support them all or even, manufacture them all. On the same side of the house, you're a big manufacturer of cards and then also pushing mobile credentials. And so from your perspective, like how difficult is that to walk the line as a company and make sure that you're doing right by the customer, but also, following what you want to do as an organization as well?
Yeah, great point. And I'll answer that too with a similar evolution of the one thing I like about HID is it isn't just always the same thing. Our leadership does a nice job of kind of examining ourselves from the year before and say, that wasn't working, let's try that. So that's a great point there. So we are definitely not looking at it as a battle, but more like a bromance or something between the two. Oftentimes you'll see there is the need for both, and it's not one or the other. So more and more we're seeing a segment might have mobile, maybe the C-suite or a certain amount of people, VIPs, I guess, might have a mobile solution as well as a card, because as you well know, visual security is still a very important thing. I don't really see that going away in the foreseeable future. As a company, we understand the importance of the badge and the mobile, and again, meeting people where they want to be or where they are. So we're not trying to cram mobile down their throat. It is very important. It is something that we view as the future. But again, we don't want someone to be try to be using something that they're not comfortable with, that they feel that they've been, it's been pushed upon them. So I
Sure.
think really the cohesion of the two together is kind of what we're envisioning for the near future.
All right, I've never heard anybody call it a bromance before. When we talk about physical cards and mobile credentials existing together, but I am going to start using that all the time.
It's been born here. I love it.
And so thank you for that.
Yep.
So in your opinion, I mean, I talk a lot about my opinion on this, and I agree. Like I've always said that I don't think it's one or the other, that I think they coexist in a bromance, if you will, and that there's space for both for
Yes.
different reasons. But what do you think has to evolve or change with mobile credentials for adoption to happen more quickly?
Yeah, that's the big question for sure. I think that I still, and I'm not speaking on behalf of HID with this thought, but I still think that mobile, even though HID has had a mobile solution for 11 years now, it's still a little bit Wild West, where uh, companies have come and gone. They've offered different ways of doing mobile. Some are charging by reader, some are charging by user, some are charging by door or whatever it might be. So a lot of that's come and gone, and HID was early to the market and has changed a lot since then. So recently, we've lowered the price to be more compatible with one of the barriers was certainly price, where someone would say, "Hey, I've had this card for 8 years. Why do I want to pay every year for a mobile card?" So we've kind of brought that down to be more like we estimate that a physical card has maybe a 3 or 4 year life. So the mobile pricing is now sort of aligned with that. We really do have to continue to understand the difference between app-based BLE and wallet. Those are the two primary ways to get there. BLE's been around for a long time. Early on, it wasn't as user-friendly, certainly as a NFC wallet-based is. It's improved a lot over the years. And the biggest barrier with wallet has been just getting around all of the Apple rules, basically. We work with Apple to get that in there. And that is getting better and better. So you're probably aware that the Apple platform is changing to a more unified platform, and I think that overall should be helpful for everybody. So I think as more and more companies are involved with the plumbing of getting the credential into the wallet, it's going to make it easier. It's going to bring that overall cost down. The cost for wallet now is definitely more expensive than app-based, and as that comes down, and then it's going to be more attractive and easier for people to understand.
When you're talking to customers, I'm just curious because I've seen it both ways and I can see the benefits of having it in wallet for sure. But then also, I mean, I've interfaced with customers who are like, what's the big deal if I have to open an app? Like I already am getting my phone out to interface with the door or it's already in my hand. So do you feel like there's a ton of pushback from end users about an app-based credential compared to the wallet, enough that would drive the price like not to matter? Or do you think we need to make a more compelling case for mobile credentials than it's better than app-based because it's like native to your device?
Yeah. So a lot of that I think is just trauma, like PTSD of early stage BLE,
Yeah. Which,
was brutal.
yeah.
It was really hard. So I think many people that have been around for a while were like, "Oh no, I tried BLE and it was awful." We have to gently say, "Yep, that was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. A lot has changed. Our new readers are much better. The app is better. We're continually updating the firmware and the app. There's a team working on that nonstop." So I encourage, if someone comes with that objection, I just say, "Heard, understood, but let's try it again. Let me get you a new reader, brand new, whatever, and then let's make some new assessments on that." So I think we now really put the two, HID puts the two side by side, because you're right. In some cases, the BLE will work if you've got it. Like you said, a lot of people have it on their phone already. If they don't have a problem with having the app in the forefront, it really does react in most cases nearly as good as the NFC. But you brought up a good point. The NFC is a native thing, so it does give some advantages. But we would just sit down and whiteboard it out and say, this is what you could get from BLE. This is the cost. This is what NFC, the advantages, and this is the cost. Does it work for you to pay that extra?
Which is, to be fair, no different than what you do when you're talking about different card technology options or different issuance options or different access control options to a customer. I mean, either way, you're sitting
Yep.
through and whiteboarding out like what's the best fit. And I think as long as you're keeping it customer centric, then if they're comfortable with, a lower technology card or they're comfortable with BLE as their mobile credential, or they're comfortable with physical badges, like, and that's what they want, then having the solution that can help them meet them where they are, as you said.
Yeah. And just the increased use of phones in our everyday lives, that certainly does help the case because, now, again, not to say I'm super old, but my age group, in the beginning, we used to use a paper ticket to get on the plane. Now it's silly if you're not putting it in your wallet every time because it's just so easy to get in onto the plane. So I think the more people are using stuff in their wallet and being proficient with apps, the more mobile credentials make sense, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. Well, great talking points. This is fun. But we are going to wrap things up with my new favorite segment of Badge Banter, which is called Badge Blitz.
Right.
And so I am going to hit you with some rapid fire questions. These are not ones that you had to study up for, nor did I tell you them in advance so you couldn't study anyway. So some of them are very fun. Some of them are related to security, but most of them aren't. But I'm going to set this old school analog timer for a minute, and
Beautiful.
we're going to try to answer as many as we can before time runs out.
Okay.
All right. No
So
pressure.
ready.
All right. Let's do it. All right. What's one thing every organization should do to increase security?
Company assessment. Assessment. What am I trying to say? Limit it.
Like an analysis of their current security?
Yes. Audit. Company audit. That's what I
Got it.
said.
Okay.
Yes.
If you could automate one daily task for yourself, what would it be?
Password reduction.
Oh my God, with you. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Immortality.
Would you rather explain the difference between smart cards and prox cards to a toddler or to your grandparents?
Oh man, that's great. Toddler.
How long do you think you would survive a zombie apocalypse?
Not long. Being honest, not long.
No, I don't think I would last very long either. Like a day. I'm gone on the first day, probably. So, anyway, that was fun. We made it to almost all of them. So, that was good. You were quick, even though you struggled on the first one there.
Sorry on that first one. Yeah,
I
that's all
know.
right.
You were
I
expecting
got
to hit you with something like zombie apocalypse, not reality.
Leave it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, well, this was super fun. I really appreciate you hopping on and sharing your insight with us. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm honored to have been here.
It was a blast. Well, and to everybody else, we hope you join us next time as we take you beyond the badge.